All right, guys, we're here. Another episode, 5 for talking, probably episode 15. I'm here with Caps. Bargo's absent today. He'll be back later. Don't worry, we didn't lose him. He might have got lost. I'm not 100%. Caps, how you feeling?
Doing pretty good, man. You?
Uh, Hockey. Hockey's
Hockey?
here.
All
There's
right,
hockey.
let's
Is
get into
hockey
it.
a feeling? Is that... People ask
In,
me, how do you feel today? I'm like, hockey.
in the summertime, it's
Right? How can you go wrong? I got a little Mike Tyson going.
that's not hockey.
Yeah, I know, but he could have played hockey as a goalpost. Um, so let's just jump into this with. I think this is an important topic. Tuuka Rask. He's opted out of the playoffs.
Yeah, can you blame him? I mean, if he wants to go home and spend time with his family during these crazy times, I don't think I can hold it against him. Can only imagine what the players are going through right now, being in this little bubble for what 2 months maybe, doing what they're doing. I can only imagine it's probably a little homesick. So what can you do, man?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. It's a difficult situation to touch on, to be honest with you.
who replaces Tuuka Rask now?
To be honest, I don't even know who their backup goalie is because they don't have Halak anymore, do they? And they don't have Hudobin anymore. Who the hell's their backup goalie?
Um, Not sure. I'm actually looking at it right now, and their goalies. It is Halak.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay, so they did still. I thought they let Halak go.
no, Halak's still playing, man. So they're okay for now. I mean, I probably would prefer Tuukka Rask, but Halak ain't that bad, man.
Yeah, he's not, especially not with that team in front of him. But a question I have in the bubble situation, I don't actually know how it is, so I'm not gonna just sit here and be like, yeah, this is how it is. They brought in two goalies. Okay,
hmm
so if Halak gets injured, is there other than their like staffing people who might be able to play backup? They don't have a backup goalie, right?
Well,
Because
no,
the
actually
guy will have to
just
wait 2 weeks to get into the bubble.
I just saw the name right now. I'm going under the assumption that all the teams are bringing in extra players
Okay, okay,
just in case something happens.
yeah.
And I'm looking at their goalie, and it looks like the backup's goalie is Vladar. And I'm not too sure. I haven't heard too much about this guy, so I don't know. But he's
Actually,
there. He's on the roster,
I did see at the last Boston game there was 3 or 4 other players sitting in the stands in Boston, like
and that could be
shirts.
one of them.
Yeah,
So,
that could have been what it is.
yeah.
Quickly, just to finish off with that, um, I kind of find it weird. Like, obviously, I get it, the family thing, and that's why I don't want to be harsh about it. But you played already, what, like 7 games? You've been there for 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden you're gonna leave right when after your team got lost the game. You're just like, I'm gonna go home now.
Maybe
I,
something happened, man.
yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't say that. That's why I don't want to be harsh with what I don't know, but
Um,
it just seems kind of so weird that like I was like, yeah, I'm gone. Okay, anyways, but that aside,
it is what it is.
it is what it is.
I don't think you could consider the season like a regular season.
No, you can't.
Uh, I don't think the management are. I think the management are being pretty lenient and flexible with a lot of the players. So who knows? I'm not. We can't be too sure what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. So, to keep going with that with the playoffs, there's two huge things. We'll go with the first one in the Western Conference, and it's Vancouver and St. Louis.
Who do you embargo take?
St. Louis. Listen, but you have to be realistic. I even said it. I just watched the video. That's funny you said that. And I said that even as hot as Vancouver is right now, I didn't want to doubt St. Louis, the coming back champions, the same roster basically. And what could go wrong? Biddington had a pretty good season this year. The whole team was good this year.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a fluke, and but here's the thing: like a lot of those teams in the West, they are all good teams.
Yeah,
They're good teams, and um, like you just don't know who can come out of it. I mean, a couple of years ago, Colorado would not be considered one of the best teams in the
Oh,
West, and now
Colorado was a terrible team for about 5 years. They were
and
like
and it's not
terrible.
like they made too many changes.
They
They
made the
just
right
progressed.
changes.
They just progressed, and they bought into the system. And
100%.
it's so funny because like Joe Sakic was considered one of the worst GMs like 3-4 years ago, and now he's like
You could make the
it's
same
crazy.
argument with Steve Yzerman too. It's funny because he came in and he dished out a couple really big contracts, and people were like, "Oh no, he doesn't know what he's doing." And then look at Tampa Bay now. I know they still struggle in the playoffs, but they're consistently one of the best regular season teams
Hmm.
consistently every year, the top.
And I know like Steve Eiserman's got like a really bad set of cards right now in Detroit. But I have no doubt in about 4 years, maybe 5 years, that he's going to turn his team around and he's going to bring in some good staff and good
It's a building
prospects. And
process.
it's yeah, it's no walk in the park. He's not going to change things in a year. So he's going to do a good job over there.
A huge thing I think too with Colorado, who's winning 2-0 right now in their series. I think we all picked Colorado. Is that they do have a really, really ridiculously talented team. Like equally, you can compare them to the Leafs with their up and coming guys. Like Rantanen is as good, if not better, than Marner and Nylander. McKinnon is probably better than Matthews, but they they so properly handed out contracts that their future is set. They didn't just dish out money, and I really appreciate it with them because a lot of teams would have did that. You have Nathan McKinnon. A lot of teams would have threw $15 million at him, but they convinced him to buy into the system, and he took whatever he took, 7 million or whatever. And that's really smart managing by Joe Sakic, and I got to give him a lot of credit for that.
You know what? Like, let's talk about the differences between the two teams. Set aside the contracts, okay? You got really good skilled forwards. I mean, they're pretty much the same. I would probably give the edge to the Leafs a little because
Throughout the
they're
lineup, yeah.
just the forwards, just those
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
elite
yeah.
forwards, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
um, but the biggest difference between the two is that the Colorado Avalanche play like a team.
Agreed.
They're a team. You know what I
They've all
mean?
bought
Like
into the system.
it's as simple as that. That's what separates the Leafs and a lot of these other teams. Like you look at the Colorado Avalanche. I would even consider Tampa Bay there. Vancouver, I would put in there. Now Calgary, even Calgary last year too. Colorado, St. Louis, a lot of these teams, Washington, Philadelphia. I and now, based on what I've seen in the last maybe week or so, I would put Montreal in there right now. Okay, these teams are really good teams. They play like a team. They support each other, and they backcheck, they defend, they score, they have great goaltending, and they play systematically very well.
I have to
That's
agree
the
with that.
difference between them and the Leafs. And I don't want to go on a rant like we did like
We
last
already
episode,
had two
but
rants.
those are the differences. That's the biggest difference between the Leafs and all these other teams that are
I agree.
actually pretty successful right now and that are going to go deep into the playoffs. So
Um,
that's my argument, and it's as simple as that. Forget about the contracts. Forget about like all that other crap. It's just the fact is these guys are not. The Leafs are not playing like a team,
I
and that's as simple
agree.
as that.
The perfect example of that is the last year's St. Louis Blues. They completely bought into a system. There was no hierarchy. It was whatever it takes to win, and they
They made
won.
a coaching change, right? Right in like maybe in November, right?
Yeah, because they stunk
Yeah,
it up at the beginning of the year.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a good example. So, anyways, Vancouver looking real good. I don't.
It's so funny. I don't mean to interrupt. Like when they brought in Travis They brought us Travis Green, right?
Yep,
The coach.
formerly.
And right from the get-go, they really believed in this guy because they thought that he would implement a system that everybody would buy in and they would be very, very successful. And it didn't take them that long. I mean, they had Pedersen, they had give me another. What's the guy?
Brock Besser.
Yeah,
They have Quinn Hughes now.
Quinn Hughes, who's playing very well.
There's a few good pieces there, and I agree with you. I don't envy them though when it's going to come to contract time on that team. It's going to be It's going to be a Leaf situation. I feel
it might be, but you might have management that might convince them to take less in order to stick together.
Which the biggest one for me, period, is Kucherov. I cannot believe the two he took 2 times now. He took a pay cut, right, to stay in Tampa Bay. I'm pretty sure he took 2 bridge
ultimately,
contracts.
I think he really wants to win.
Yes, and I think that's what matters. That's what hockey is about. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't have millions of dollars and I would love to have it, but to me, the difference between $9 million and $10 million and winning a championship means something to me, personally, as a human. And I would be willing
if you're the breakout star and you're going to be making about $10 million a year, I'm pretty sure you're going to make boatloads of money doing something else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
like,
anyway, whatever. We're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, we're getting sidetracked, but I get it. Right. I fully understand your point, and you made a lot of good points there.
All right.
So
what's the other team that we're going to talk about?
The other big one I wanted to talk about is another 2-0 series. New York Islanders beating Washington Capitals.
I can't say that I'm surprised because the Islanders are a really, really good team, and so are the Washington Capitals. But I think the Capitals are starting to fall off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know; they might be able to come back and pull it off. You know, it's not a surprise to me, man. It's not a surprise. I think that was one of the other series that were having a hard time, and we're mulling over who would come out of it. And I think we all agreed on Washington, right? But
yeah.
I don't think it was convincingly.
No.
They were that way.
That was the most convincing team that I didn't pick, I think, because I'm pretty sure I said it in the episode. I think New York Islanders would have gave them a hard time. I said 7 games, I'm pretty sure. I watched 2-0 series. Washington is like a legendary team. They can come back. Mm-hmm. But the Islanders, in comparison to the Canucks, is like a big difference. I think the Islanders are actually a very capable team, where on paper, Vancouver doesn't look like that, but they're playing really well. And I think the Islanders have bought into a team system. It's so weird how we keep saying this. And it's like there's certain teams out there, I'm not going to name names, they might play in like Southern Ontario, just can't figure it out. But everyone else seems to figure it out. I just don't get it. Carolina, Boston.
I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, it's definitely not too late for them to figure it out. They can figure it out.
They got time.
To play, no?
They got time.
But it's definitely a hard league to be successful, and it's going to be even harder for them because the Senators are going to get better, the Canucks are going to get better, the Oilers are going to get better, all the Canadian teams are going to get better. I mean, it's going to be extremely tough for them now.
I think this is
I didn't even know where Philly came from, eh?
Yeah, I know.
I have no idea where Philadelphia came from.
The team didn't really change even. They just decided they were going to play hockey all of a sudden. Claude Giroux turned the clocks back 5 years and started playing like how he was. Like, I don't get it. Voracek went from like 2 seasons, not even that he had a great season this year, but all of a sudden his connection playing with Giroux was like godly. I couldn't believe how good they were together.
Carter Hart came out of nowhere.
Yes, I agree. And we kind of dumped all over him in the Team Canada thing. But
and talking about that series, like everybody thought that Carey Price was done. And look at him. It seems as though he's turned back the clock a little bit.
But we always knew Carey Price had this. We were just, when was it going to happen?
Yeah, because every time the Olympics happen or any of that sort of stuff, who's the number one goalie that Canada always picks.
I
Carey
agree because
Price.
on just complete raw skill, he's the guy.
He is the guy.
But on career like achievements, he just doesn't come through. And I really want him to be successful. Obviously, he's Canadian, but I don't want Montreal to win the cup. But if they do, I'm not going to be upset because honestly, like I always say this, Montreal's one of the 3 Canadian teams that I actually like. It's just I don't want to see them win again before the Leafs have an even chance to win.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But Montreal's doing really well in
I
that
think we're
series.
flip-flopping back and forth between
But
like
let's just
East
stay on
and
that
West.
because Alain Vigneault complained. I think it was yesterday's game. They were losing 5-0 to Montreal. There was less than 2 minutes left in the game, and Montreal put out their top power play unit and pounded them for the last 2 minutes of the game. And he was very upset about that. And I just want to know: do you think there's a good reason for him to be upset, or is this just like water under the bridge type of stuff?
Why would he be upset?
Because he's mad that Montreal was winning 5-0 and put out their top line to pound them with less than 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, probably a little unnecessary. I don't know why he would put his top power play line out. I mean, shouldn't he be resting them for the next game?
I don't know. I thought it was like
the other thing I thought. The other thing was it wasn't. It was Kirk Muller that was doing this, right? Because Claude Julien was not
Claude
at the
Julien's
game,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is correct.
Was there any report as to why he wasn't there?
No. I honestly didn't look into it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, sit on his choice there. But, yeah, I didn't even look into it. So the last one I really want to touch on, because all the other series are basically 1-1. There's nothing huge here. Carolina-Boston. I don't remember who you picked. Me and Bargo both picked Carolina.
We all picked Carolina.
Okay.
Because I refuse to pick Boston.
Carolina though was playing really well. Like the game is
they're
on right
good.
now.
You know why?
What?
You know why?
Why?
Because they're a good team.
Oh my god! It's like who's figuring these things out?
You know?
Oh my god! And I
play
see
like
it.
A good team.
I see it. They're like what the Leafs could be if they had a little bit better defense. They don't even have a goalie. They're playing James Reimer. Let's just be honest here. Didn't they sign Scott Darling to be their starting goalie, and then James Reimer? Like, I don't know if he got injured, but
you go with the person that's playing the best.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. That's like the situation in Vegas right now, and Vegas is good.
Good on Reimer.
Yeah, good on Reimer. I think
he's an underrated.
He's an underrated goalie. Yeah, I'm talking Vegas, but I feel like Reimer's a bit underrated. He knows what it takes to win. He's been there before.
Has he won a playoff series?
No, he made it to Game 7. All right, give the guy some credit.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else playoff wise. Vegas is doing really well.
Did you guys take Dallas?
Yeah. Oh, there's one we could talk about. No, I don't even personally though. I don't feel like either one of those teams. No offense to either one of those teams, is playing superbly well. I think every game has just been one team failed to do something and the other team capitalized on it.
Maybe, but from what I understand, like Cam Talbot is playing very, very well, and he turned back the clock and is playing like
the one season that he was ever good.
Yeah, he's actually very, very good. So good on him. But I just never really thought that Dallas had what it took to win a playoff series.
I agree with the idea of that. I think on paper their team is far better.
Yeah, but it was always been the case like that. That's always been the case for the last 5 years.
Dallas falls into a category with the Leafs and Tampa Bay who just can't do anything when they get to the playoffs.
Without all the fat contracts.
Yeah. Well, they do have the fat contracts. Seguin and Ben are getting paid like ridiculously. And then you're going to have to – you have Klingberg got re-signed big. Heiskanen's going to come up. They have the 2 rookie defensemen that are both going to come up for big freaking contracts. So Dallas better be ready to pay. The signing,
that's the other difference too, that they got D.
Getting what's his name? Pavelski was terrible. It was a terrible move. It didn't pay off at all how they thought it was going to. Patrick Sharp didn't do anything for them. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
anyways,
good
um,
depth players though.
I don't really have anything else playoff wise.